All right, you guys, welcome back to the 1 millionth episode of I'm Super Excited with Rory James, as I've been calling it recently, the only podcast. Um, back with us this week, making a return appearance, is the very funny, hilarious comedian, writer, and we're going to talk about something super exciting that you just put out. It's my good friend, Kandice Martellaro. How are you, hun?
Wow, you pronounced my name right. I'm so shocked. No one ever does.
Well, how long have we known each other now? Like 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, that's about right. But I mean, even like people that have known me for years and years still say like
No,
Martellaro.
what I was gonna say is that like that validation means a lot because I've been focused on getting it right. You know,
Wow,
this has been an intentional effort. Yeah.
Well, you nailed it. So.
I don't know why it is, but I always want to make Italian people proud. Or like I don't know what that's about.
Are you Italian?
No.
Because like you look
I
like
think
you could be. Like, yeah.
I'm just writing that down because I can't believe it came out of my mouth. I think it's because I grew up where I grew up in Massachusetts. It was mostly Irish and Italian people. So like I always say like the cuisine in the way that there are so many Mexican restaurants in Los Angeles, where I grew up, it was just all Italian restaurants. So even though I am not Italian, I feel like the Irish and the Italians were neighbors very much so in my growing up. And then I moved to New York, and then I realized how I thought the men who worked in the Italian men who worked in the New York pizzerias were so sexy. And so I think it's a blend of like homeland familiarity and like primal desire for these pizzeria guys.
You know, it's funny you say that because like even though I am Italian and I'm hoping this isn't like an incestuous thing, I'm always attracted to that specific type. Like I know what you mean.
Well, and I mean I think that's probably pretty normal.
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I think it's more weird that I am trying to impress the entire Italian culture. But okay.
So it's a round way to get to those guys, like a whole.
I guess, but I also I also want to nothing makes me more comforted and happy than like a nice bolognese. Like I was sort of dating this guy for like 6 months, and he was really Italian, and like he was really into cooking, and I was like, oh, I could get used to this,
Yeah.
you know.
But so would your waistline inevitably, but
Um,
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, he had some body dysmorphia too.
Oh
But anyway,
no.
so anyway, we to reel us back in. First of all, I want to just do some plugging because we're going to talk about you guys. Candace wrote a comic book, and your dad illustrated it, and I am like a third of the way through,
Oh.
and I have so many things I want to point out about it, but so let's get the plugging out of the way so that we can talk about the book. Apropos of you being on this Sunday, May 3rd, I am co-headlining with your. How do you refer to Drew?
It's I appreciate you asking because we've been together long enough that it should be husband at this point. But
I am not going to weigh in on that.
but no, I have boyfriend. Yeah.
I was going to say boo thang, but I didn't know if how that was gonna feel.
That sounds more like he's like a summer fling, like
Oh, interesting.
which is funny to me to like think of him that way.
Because you guys cohabitate and
Yeah.
you've been together for a long time, and so comedian Drew Landry and I headlining. I'm very much looking forward to this at Petty Cash in West Hollywood on May 3rd, this Sunday. And I haven't been to the space yet, but I hear it's cool.
Oh, you've never been to Petty Cash?
No, but
Oh.
clearly you have.
Yeah, it's great, and they have such a good team that like puts everything together for it's great. You'll have a great time. It's a good space.
Well, it's so exciting because Drew was the one that made me realize that like in comedy, what's key is always having something to look forward to. You
Yeah.
know, like having a next thing. And then I think that was kind of part of how this show came to be. And then like I have always realized that like in getting ready for like longer sets or headlining moments, like inevitably I'm forced to write it because when you're putting something together, you're like your brain is in that space.
Right.
And so I've been really excited about Drew and I were talking recently about my new chunk about my experiences in therapy. And then I was like, this morning I woke up and I was like, oh, Petty Cash is coming up. Like, that's going to be so fun. And then I was like, oh, if only my opening joke to the new therapy chunk was like banger enough, you know? And then so like it forced me this morning like to like be like, well, what would make it banger? And then I ended up writing a joke that I was so excited about, and I texted Drew. I was like, heroin can't be that much better than the feeling of writing a structurally beautiful joke. Like this morning, I was like, because I always do joke like that my confidence is so tied to whether or not I have new material. So like in the aftermath of writing something that I think is good, I'm like, I am worthy of love. Like it's just I am so anyway. So are you are we gonna see you on Sunday?
Oh yeah, I'll be there. Yeah.
Okay, great. I was hoping you would be.
Yeah.
So people can come to that. And then this just got confirmed. I signed the contract over the weekend. I'm headlining the Boston Comedy Studio, my hometown. As I understand, it's kind of the cool club in town, and that is going to be on July 11th, which is a Saturday. And tickets are going on sale soon. So the best way to get tickets for that is to follow me on socials at It's Rory James. But Kandice, a lot of pressure's on headlining the hometown.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I kind of I've done stand-up in Boston before, but this sort of feels like with the special coming out and stuff like that, like a cool moment.
Yeah.
And also like headlining, like, whoa, like, you know, I don't know, it's just exciting. So those are two things coming up. And then I was on two kind of popular podcasts this week. I was on Two Gay Mats with my friend Matt Palmer. I co-hosted that on Sunday, and oh my God, Kandice, it's so well run, and it's people. Their like Patreons are really loyal, but it's like one of those ones that streams live. So I'm reading comments about what I'm saying as I'm saying things.
Oh, how was that?
It's interactive in a cool way that like I wouldn't be like I would need a team to figure that out. Like but it's also funny to like. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like stand up, like you're getting feedback in real time. But like, it's just like at first, everyone's like really nice and saying really nice things, and then I have like one shitty opinion, and then it's all like Rory has terrible takes, and I'm like, fuck. So it's like it was also an exercise in like when I go on topical shows, like maybe don't say anything. I think you know what I mean, like. But that was cool. I was on Two Gay Mats on Sunday night, and then we talked about a million things. Wait, are you a White Lotus person?
No. I mean, like I'm familiar, but I didn't.
Vaguely. Okay, then you won't find it interesting. And then the other podcast I did was called Tangled with Kyle Ridley, and he has had like some big comics who I have really look up to on recently. But what I wasn't expecting that was so cool was it was an hour-long interview of me, a thorough deep dive of like me and my process, and like he asked such interesting questions, but like to the point where like he was asking questions unknowingly about things that I'm like currently working out in therapy. So like I went from being like, oh, I get to like talk for 10 minutes about like how I write jokes, and then he's like, so what's your relationship like to crying? And I was like, oh, Jesus.
I was be like, what is your relationship with your mom? I feel like that's always like the therapy thing.
Or yeah, like there were a bunch of funny different things where I was like, how do you think the homophobia in Boston when you were growing up impacts your stand-up comedy? I was like, I don't know. Like I actually do know, but
that's a lot to get into publicly.
Well, that's the thing too, but like it's also like I'm like, oh, that I know, but because up until this point that I haven't been like subject to that type of questioning. So like because when he asked like, so do you think you are ready for a relationship? I was like, shit, I have to like know what to say when people ask things like that. You know what I mean? Like I forgot that like I should probably know going in how I'm going to answer certain things, but how would I know that he was going to ask about that? But he was really nice and like honestly such a good interviewer. So I'll let people know when that drops, but that's kind of the coolest experience. It's also getting used to like stand-ups are so used to being in control of everything. It's very like even, like I run my own podcast, but like so to be like I have to keep reminding myself like I'm not in charge here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm along for the ride, yeah.
But like this is he's in charge. I'm here. Like so anyway, it's apparent as my therapist brings up. I like control. So anyway, so that's done. Kandice, okay, let's talk about the book. Okay? So it's called The Most Haunted House in the Nation, and it's available on Amazon. You are a horror genre fanatic. So I didn't surprise me that you were writing something that was spooky. But I didn't know when did you know you wanted to write a comic book?
Oh, that was quite a process. So my dad is an illustrator, and he's always wanted to get a comic syndicated, was like his big goal.
And what does that mean? Like in one of the like bigger books or?
Oh, well, back in the day, it would have meant in the newspaper.
Okay.
So like the Sunday Funnies kind of thing. But we all know how newspapers have gone. So now it means something entirely different, where that's kind of not, I mean, it's still a thing, but it's not a thing. You know what I mean? So.
Do people read comic books on their phones now?
I mean, honestly, a lot of it's on Instagram. And, I mean.
That makes sense.
Some of it's on Instagram. I mean, there's still, comic book shops are still huge. Like, getting a physical comic book is still a huge thing. But as far as, like, the Sunday Funnies, like that kind of thing, I feel like that has evolved into something different. And I don't know that it's good. It's just evolved into a different thing altogether.
So when you're growing up, your dad is illustrating comics.
Yeah. And he makes a living as a graphic designer and an illustrator. Like, people hire him to illustrate things. And so that was always there. And so when I started writing, he and I had always talked about doing a comic book or a graphic novel together. And I ended up a few years ago, I wrote a pilot, and I wrote it, and just like, I have so many pilots. I'm sure every writer that wants to write for television does, where you write it, if you're lucky and you have reps, you send it to your rep. Maybe it goes out to a few people, but like other than that, it's probably not going to see the light of day. And with this one in particular, I was like, I think this one could be a comic book. And so I sent it to my dad. He agreed, and we decided, like, let's do it and give it life. So.
But the concept began in your head for TV.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
That's so interesting, and I can absolutely see it as I'm reading it, because I'm like, I was like, have I read a comic book before? Like, I've obviously read comics, but like, yeah. I was having very novice experiences, such as, okay, so you go left to right and then down. Like, I was understanding how that works and like who was speaking, and just like, but I was like really appreciating it, and I was like, wait, should I have been like, am I like decades late to this being something I'm into? You obviously got exposure to it early when you were a kid. And so it's interesting that you say that the concept, do you want to just tell people like the general premise?
Oh, yeah. So it's about a little girl who can see ghosts, and her mom is a washed up like TV host, like kind of like an Elvira type, but like a washed up Elvira. And then her dad is a true crime writer who's also washed up, and they're both desperate to bring their careers back. And so they decide to move into this infamous murder house where all of these serial killers used to hide out. And yeah, that's the house. And they move in not realizing that they're like subjecting their daughter to like torture, because now she's subjected to all these serial killers, and she, through the course of the comic book, figures out how to fight dead serial killers. Sorry, that was the worst log line.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
No, that was totally great. It's so funny because as I was it's beautiful. Like the illustration. Shout out to your dad because like the illustrations are like stunning. But like one of my first thoughts as I was like getting into the story was like, are the parents insane? The parents are insane, right? I'm like I was like, what is wrong with these people? And but the protagonist's name is.
Uh, the protagonist is actually it in my original pilot. I think she had a different name and kind of a different description. But I had a close friend who passed away from cancer in 2021, and so I named the character after her, Jessica. And my dad drew the character that looked like her. So
Oh
so
my
it's
gosh,
my friend.
that's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
love that. That's so sweet.
Thank you. Yeah, I reached out to her husband and her dad to get like kind of their blessing before I did that. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they loved it. All right, now let's get into what the absolute first thing I noticed on the first page. The second line of the book is features a catchphrase that I like to think is from the sitcom you and I should have had but never had together, which is "That's it." And it's something we say to each other all the time, and it's an encouraging motto, and it's especially fun to say in dark situations where you want to give yourself some sort of or it's really more about giving somebody else encouragement. Like, you got this. That's it. For doing
Yeah.
something very simple that a human adult should do. In this case, the protagonist Jessica is being born, and it's the doctor or nurse saying to her mother, "You got this. You're essentially pushing out a baby." Was that a total coincidence, or did at some point, or you put it together and you're like, "Oh, that's funny that's there."
I didn't even think about it till just now.
You didn't realize that the first line of your book is "That's it."
No, I didn't put that together at all.
Oh, how funny if I like thought it was like, "Oh, I got an Easter egg shout out." It's all like making your book about me from the first page. That would be.
Let's not jump to the conclusion that you're crazy because I did write an entire horror feature with a character based on you that I named Rory. So like.
I'm so glad you brought that up, and I'm going to write that down to remind everybody because Candice wrote a character about me.
Yeah.
So, but wait, yes, oh my God, that was quite an, and the character was gay too, right?
Oh yeah, no, it was directly just you. Like there was no like to a point where our mutual friend Max Kerwin gave me notes on that, and he like kind of teased me about like, wow, this was a really direct lift. Like, yeah.
You know what's so funny is like, what do comedians want more than for somebody talented to write for us? So Candice, never stop writing for me. But okay, so so that was funny that's it was in there. I felt like the character of Jessica had definitely your sense of humor. Like like the joke, and it's obviously because you wrote it, but like I love the running. But I'm only 9. Like these, like people and dead people and her parents are expecting like such ridiculous things from this kid, and it's like I always like kids who are like, it's not just that they know better than the adults. It's like why would you expect this of me attitude.
Yes. And I'm kind of glad you said that because one note I got when it was a pilot quite a bit was she's too young, of like age her up, she should be like around 13 or something, and some of it is
Because she's supposed to be how old?
9.
Okay.
And so it was the note I got a lot was like she's too precocious, like no 9-year-old talks like this, which I beg to differ. I used to nanny a 9-year-old and she did talk like that. But in addition to that, I was also like, no, like the precocious 9-year-old is like an important part of the story, and some of it is the running joke, but also just the idea that I think kids often are like little adults. I mean, they're not, but like, you know, they can be. So
I hated being a kid because wasn't taken seriously, and I felt like I was the adult in the room.
yeah, exactly.
And I kind of like relate to the character's frustration of like, because despite being heavily involved in the genre, her parents don't believe that she can see ghosts because they
Yeah.
don't think ghosts are real. And
Yeah.
it's that feeling that kids, especially kids who are, what's the word for when you're like wise beyond your years? It's so frustrating because you, especially like if you have parents who are like ridiculous, like the ones in the story. It's like, no, I'm not only do I know better, I'm right, and nobody's listening to me.
Yeah, that was exactly. I'm glad you got it. See, that's it.
I know I'm like emotionally like having a therapy moment with your character, but also another joke I wanted to shout out was when she's asking her parents why they can't have normal jobs, and she says, "Why can't you have a normal job like a plastic surgeon or a receptionist to a plastic surgeon?" And they were like, "Those
Yeah.
are only normal jobs in LA." That's I feel like that you could do that one on stage.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I hadn't thought of it. I think is I didn't fully write that. My I think my dad pitched an original version, and then someone gave me the. And I think my dad's version was like a plastic surgeon or a therapist, and then
Oh,
I
that's
think someone
good
gave
too.
me. Yeah, and I liked it. Someone gave me the note that they thought therapist was like offensive or something, so we altered it. But um,
Well, my whole new joke that I was feeling myself about is that, and I'm not going to give it away on the podcast, but it's about how there are no therapists in Boston. And
oh
so it's funny how those professions can be regional. But like, yeah, I don't know. I always like a joke that's structured like that, like it's a duplicate, like. I really I'm like so analytical about joke structure sometimes, but I
yeah,
that one made me laugh. And then there's a shout out to the Cecil Hotel, the
yeah,
famed downtown Los Angeles. So I remember watching that documentary, but I sort of forget the context. Like it's essentially like it's a ridiculous amount of murders have happened there.
yeah. So what it turns out, so like just my own experience with coming to know this hotel. I was always told for years of like that's just a haunted, awful place because it is. There's
Right.
numerous suicides that happen there.
And
Richard
the lady in the
Ramirez.
water tank.
Yes, we'll get there.
Okay, sorry.
I'm because this hotel's been around since like the 1930s. So I think at one time it was like a high end hotel, but it now is like a rough hotel on Skid Row. And really, that's why it has so much negative history attached, as it's just in a rough part of town and bad things happen. Um, but yeah, it was. I think initially it was like there were a bunch of like suicides and different things that happened, and then at some point Richard Ramirez and I'm forgetting the other serial killer. There were two serial killers that used this hotel as like their hideout, and then in addition to that, there's been numerous murders there, and then the last notable thing is Eliza Lamb, I believe her name is, who climbed into the water tank and died. And it was a very mysterious thing of like what happened with her, why she did that. But
And that was like 10, 12 years ago, right? Like
yeah,
early 2010s. Yeah.
it's crazy because it's when I first moved. Like I remember where I was when that news broke.
That's yeah, well, when I first moved to LA, I lived in Silver Lake and my gym was downtown and my then boyfriend was like very in like that was in a moment where everyone was like people who like cool East Side LAers were like downtown's where it's at and I was like I don't think it is. And but but I was like ostensibly like spending a good portion of time down in downtown LA because I had just moved here and I didn't know. And again, I'm not shitting on downtown. There are wonderful aspects of it, but like it's not my part of LA. And it was funny that that's sort of where I got dropped. And then, but it's sort of like a. One of the things that I've loved about living here for a long time is like it takes years to get to know the different neighborhoods.
Yes.
And I think what downtown and Hollywood have in common is that like creepy old school Hollywood like history,
Yeah.
but the circumstances in those areas have changed.
Yes.
So these establishments are in different contexts, even though they have glamorous histories, but maybe not so glamorous current realities.
I have this
So
memory. Do you know who Chris Nichols is?
I don't.
He writes for LA Magazine. He wrote this really great book on Disneyland, hence why I would know who that is. And through I'm mentored by Dana Gould, as we know. Through Dana, I met him, and I have like this vivid memory of being at the God, what's the name of the theater? There's like a famous theater downtown that we were shooting something in, and standing outside, and he was giving me like the whole history of the street and like what was what used to be what, and it was mind blowing because it's like now it's just a bunch of shops and different things, but it's like it was almost like seeing it in real time of like a transformation of like this was once like the high end ritzy part of town that you'd go for like an evening out, and
Right.
it was a very interesting experience.
Well, and I always feel like I always like feel like a sense of responsibility when people visit Los Angeles. There's like when you visit anywhere, like when you look for hotels, like typically, and again, I'm not shitting on downtown, but like usually you write downtown, enter name of city, and I'm always like, oh, like when people come to LA, you have to be like, what are you looking to see?
Yes.
Because that's really gonna like if your idea is Santa Monica Pier. Or even the Hollywood Walk of Fame, like that's not going to be where you want to stay. No. But like if you're looking to go to a Lakers game and have a business conference, like there you are.
Exactly.
So,
well put.
But do you have a favorite part of Los Angeles?
My immediate instinct when you say that is to say East Hollywood, because that's where, when I moved here, that's where I lived. And the other thing, too, is I think when a lot of people think of classic Hollywood, that is the area they're thinking of. That's where, like, the Hollywood sign is and the Walk of Fame and, the Chinese theater and all that is in East Hollywood. And when
Well, Candice, what does it matter that why is that racial information necessary? That seems real.
Grauman's Chinese theater, the TCL Chinese theater, whatever you want to call it.
As you were saying.
But when I first moved here, I lived there, and especially, I think it's kind of getting back to this point again, but at that time, like, everything was walkable. It was really, at the time, like, very hipster and trendy to live there, and so it just felt like the perfect place to be in your 20s and be there, and it was just a good feeling.
And do you think when you were first moving to LA too that you were like looking for that classic, like what you imagined Los Angeles was going to be like?
Yes, like living in that part of town was how I envisioned LA to be.
You know what's so interesting, and I didn't realize this until you were just sort of talking about it, is that I thought I was going to be in New York forever. It was very abrupt. I feel like this is how some marriages fall apart, where it was like, and within a year, everything changed. But I fell out of love. But like, it was the year after I graduated from college and I was working and I had a cool job, but like I was miserable and I was like, ew, the city does not feel good anymore. And I fell in love with somebody who lived out here. And then it was like, sort of like combining like the first real love in your adult life with like this city comes with it, and this city isn't 20 degrees and full of snow and shit and stuff. Like it was like coming out here was like this, like it was like a dream, like a hazy dream. And I got to know LA in that way. Like I didn't I grew up like researching New York and being like understanding it and all that stuff, and like I didn't really I just knew LA from like TV, you know what I mean? Like I guess there are palm trees and hills and beaches. Yeah. But I was not, but like there's that one-sided rivalry with New York that like New Yorkers talk shit about LA and LA people love New York. And I was one of those New Yorkers that was like, yeah, LA, whatever. Like, but I didn't. So anyway, it was like, it took me by surprise. And then I didn't come here. And I know that sometimes some people come here with like expectations that don't get met. I didn't have, all I knew was that like the super hot person I was in a relationship with was here, and it was nice out and it was beautiful and it was probably going to be good for my career. So it was like, to me, it was only upside. And that's why when there's been this like what we've been experiencing in the last 2 years, and the fires and the mass exodus and the people like suddenly it being like very in fashion to kick LA when LA was down has been an interesting thing to be here for, because I realized I have a lot more LA loyalty than I like knew I had in me. I'm like, fine, fucking go. Like this is like I don't know. I think I guess when you go through like intense experiences in a place, that makes you feel strongly about it. But do you feel like the longer you live here, the more the closer you feel to LA, or where are you with that now?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I feel very like protective of LA in that same way, where like for example, when people try to suggest like, the industry is moving out of there, you don't have to be there anymore for that, I get very like defensive at that idea, where I'm like, no, this is where like so many amazing things have happened. This is where, I mean, it's where a lot of bad things have happened too, but like it's just like, I guess I kind of equate it to, again, when I first moved here, and everything felt so full of hope. It felt like there were so many opportunities. Like I have the memory of literally like coming off the 101 onto Hollywood Boulevard, because my apartment at the time was right off of Hollywood Boulevard, and seeing like billboards for TV shows everywhere, which is something you don't see outside of LA really, typically at least, and feeling like I could do that. I could write on that show, and it felt like it was just a few steps away. And it kind of was. I did eventually write on a TV show after a few years. So I wasn't completely wrong. But I think like that kind of hope still fills me.
Yeah.
Like, the city still makes me feel that. So even though things are not what they were, yeah.
You could call it a city of broken dreams or made dreams, and I think ultimately that depends on like what kind of mindset you have in general. You know what I mean? Because it's like you can spend your life in career, not you, but one can spend their life in career like thinking about everything that didn't happen or what they didn't get that they thought they did, or like you're saying, like the possibility that lies ahead, and that's where I like choose to like focus in on. But but also like to me it was there's so much conversation about like the industry, and I have been reading some positive things in the last week, especially about like some decisive action that's been taken about getting certain projects that are very California based to be greenlit and making that. And to me, I think the part of the problem was it wasn't a focus, and now it is such a focus to attract work to here that gives me a lot of hope too, because there's like real incentive and momentum on that front. But like I have also always been so divorced from the industry. What's the industry doing? Because the industry, like that system was never working for me to begin with. And the same is true of the American economy. Sometimes when the economy is great, Rory's fucking IRA is not. And then it's like, there have been times where in the middle like of peak COVID, I was like saving money. Like it was great. Like it was like, so I have always thought like it's always a mixed bag, and my experience doesn't necessarily follow with the trends. And it was also like one of the things that was I realized when I first moved here, because I was in a relationship with a working actor who has the face of a guy and the talent of a guy who can walk into a room and be like, well, let's put him in the commercial, obviously. Yeah. And that was not happening to me at all. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to be discovered by a producer from Warner Brothers who says you ought to be in pictures. It wasn't going to happen. So like I've never like trusted the system anyway. So, but I'm also like, it's not like I'm rooting for it to like fall apart or anything. I'm rooting for there to be so much momentum and opportunity, but from like droughts and like lulls can come new opportunities. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, what I'm really hoping for at this point in time is like our own, like indie, burst like we had in the 90s. I mean, that's kind of what I'm pulling for. I mean, it was very different. Circumstances were different then, and it won't be exactly that, but something along those lines, like a renaissance.
Well, it's so funny because I was watching a video of Lisa Kudrow and Parker Posey interview each other, who were two like major comedic actresses of that era in indie film. And Lisa Kudrow was saying, like, she was like, oh, it's so funny. She was like, because I was on Friends, she was like, oh, well, the movies I'll do, like, I'm not going to do romantic comedies. I'll just do, like, indie movies. They're the fun ones. Like, and she was like, hilariously, then it all ended, like, immediately after. Like, she was like, she just assumed that 90s boom of indie, cool movie, like Clock Watchers, which they both did together, and, like, all that stuff, Party Girl with Parker, like, would keep going. And then, obviously, like, and that's where the industry does catch up to the creatives, because it's like, oh, fuck, you guys aren't going to pay for this anymore? Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, we have kind of, for that era, like the Weinsteins to thank. Weinstein? Yeah. I never say their
isn't
name.
that weird?
Yeah. Like, I hate to say it, but like Miramax did quite a wondrous thing for a lot of those movies.
Well, I guess that is to my point that, like, at no time is either all terrible or all great. But is there anything else? Okay, because, like, obviously I'm going to keep reading the book, which, again, is the most haunted house in the nation. And I'm excited to text you more jokes that I think are about me.
I'll tell you one thing, I did not put this together until, like, after I had written it. One of the very first jokes is on like the first page or second page. She's talking to, and it's a really sad conversation with a little boy who's just died. And he asked her, like, hey, can you tell my parents something for me? And she's like, adults never believe me. And then gives him this very dismissive, and it's meant to be humorous, where she's like, well, good luck with the whole being dead thing, and walks away. And I had no idea until recently that that's like a major musical number in the Beetlejuice Broadway show.
What is it called? Good Luck Being Dead?
No, the whole being dead thing.
Oh.
And so I was
But
like,
that can't be the first time anyone's said that.
I hope not, because I was like, oh, I had no idea when I did that was that.
No, I think the whole that thing is like a structure of talking about something. I don't think Beetlejuice gets to like claim that.
Okay, then I won't
but no,
stress about it.
do you have a favorite part or something that wouldn't spoil?
Oh, that's a really good question. She makes a friend with a ghost girl, and I like the plan in my head of what's going to happen with her. Because in theory, I would love, this was originally supposed to be a pilot. I would love if this was a series. I don't know if that's going to be the future of the comic book or not, but where that character is going is very interesting.
Well, I love that there's like you're thinking ahead and of doing more, and that's that always makes people especially more invested. But also, I just want to give you props for like I love the idea of taking an idea, like you had a good idea, and you had it in one format, and then adapting it for something else is really smart. And like it's also like I have like jokes or like fragments of jokes where I'm like, I might not write it this year, but that's going to be something at some point. And trusting in your own creative instincts when like you're attached to a premise or something that you have, and then figuring out the right form for it. And even if the first one that you put it in isn't where it ends up, like repurposing it. And like, cause a good idea is a good idea. So like, I think that was really smart of you.
Thank you. Off of your idea about like writing something down and being like, I don't know what this is yet, but it's gonna be something maybe years down the road. There's an episode of the show Dave. Have we ever talked about Dave?
I don't think so.
Do you watch Dave at all, or?
I have not.
Okay,
no.
That's totally fine. So there's this episode where the rapper Lil Dicky goes to study with Rick Rubin, and if you're not familiar, Rick Rubin's like this incredible producer that gets just like the most beautiful work out of.
I do know him. Yes.
Yeah. Like just prolific. And so there's a whole episode where he goes to study with Rick Rubin. You never see Rick Rubin in the episode. That's part of the like lore of it. But Lil Dicky has a dream while he's there where he like meets his own subconscious, and the subconscious is writing a song and like kind of mocking him the whole time, but is like, it's all in here. Like this beautiful thing that you could write, it's in here. You just have to unlock it. And
I love that.
I honestly, like Drew and I quote it all the time because I believe that, where it's like you just have to find it and let it find its way out. It's in there though, like everything's in there.
That was the experience too about the joke that I wrote this morning, and then also like I have a definite like I'm realizing with my jokes have like there's a melody to them. Like, and sometimes I get shit for like, why are you doing a news announcer voice? And I'm like, that's how I talk. Like, that's like the people that know me. Like, this isn't something I'm putting on. Like, that's just how it comes out.
Yeah.
And so, but I have always felt too the reason that comedians always want to be rock stars and rock stars want to be comedians is that there is music to comedy. And I think sometimes what I've learned too is that like in the way that the jokes, sometimes the best jokes are the easiest to remember. It often has to do. It's like how learning lyrics works is like you're not like mindfully doing it. It's just like, oh, and then I hit this note, and then that's where it goes. That's where it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
and so sometimes like that to your point about like okay, so like because sometimes you'll have a version of a joke and it'll be like, oh, it's funny, but it's clunky. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's not. And so it's like unlocking, and like almost too. I've like playing loose of it all, like because sometimes you can you can like block yourself from getting to where it needs to be because you're like trying to like pull it out, and then like kind of sometimes just it's kind of like pooping. I hate to say it, you gotta let it just flow out.
You just gotta let it do its thing.
Let it do its like. Kandice, this is so much fun. I have to say, you're a friend who, you're really supportive of your comedy and creative friends in general. You're very loud about your support for the people who you love, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. But also, like, I am here because I this is really good, and so it's not like I'm just like, oh I hate when like sometimes people like try to like plug your shit and they're like, my friend did a thing, and it's like, no, it's like really good. You know what I mean? Like it's not like because it's my friend. I'm like, oh, I actually like really want to read the rest of this tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate it because I know what you mean. Where it's like sometimes you can almost tell with like how vague it is. Where it's like, my friend worked really hard on this. You should.
Like. I'm so proud of them for finally. It's like, what? No, it's just like that happened when my special came out, and it was like, what I want to hear is it's good, not you're proud of me. You know what I mean? Like
something more along the line. I think like because I don't typically endorse things unless I mean it. Like it.
That's it too. That's it. That's it. I'm getting you a T-shirt. That says that's it. But no, I think that's a huge thing too because like it's the same with compliments. I'm not gonna tell you look great every time I see you. You're gonna stop believing me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, so that's the thing. But are most comic books supposed to be funny?
It depends on the genre. Comic books are
because it's in the name, but I would imagine sometimes they veer towards like scary or dark. Or
I was gonna say comic books are just like movies or TV shows where like there's different genres and there different genres do different things. So not all of them.
All right, well, dude, I'm so the best way people can find it on Amazon, right? Like that's the best way to get the book.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. It will be being sold very soon here at Killer Fitness if you're in Los Angeles.
Hey, tie-ins, we love that.
That's coming, and I'm gonna try to get it in a few other places, and I should have a couple signings coming up in the. I was gonna
say people who work out with you should at least get a signed copy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm getting all that figured out. So.
I love that. I love that so much.
The signing will necessarily be at Killer Fitness, but I will have a signing.
Well, remind me of your social media handles so people can follow you.
Oh, it's at Kandice _Martellaro_.
A name that it's been confirmed you guys pronounce correctly. Yes. Kandice, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you for being my friend. And until next week, you guys stay super excited.